Welcome back, or just welcome if you're here for the first time. As a quick refresher and as an explanation for new viewers, we are looking at dead games. It's pretty self-explanatory. Let's go. Alright gamers, welcome to the Active Worlds Revisit. It's been about a year since I last played this one, and ever since then I felt like I had to check it out again. As a very brief refresher, this is a virtual world game from the mid-90s that's still up and running today. Pretty much everything you'll see in it is entirely community made, and that's both its biggest strength as well as weakness. This one is legitimately one of the most weird, interesting, and unique games I've ever played, so I wanted to see more of it before it's inevitably wiped from existence.
Accessing data.
For all the new viewers, this right here is Big Cool Tony 1991. My secret alter ego in this game, but at this point that's kind of a bust. I have literally been stalked while recording for this. I figured that this time around I'd start off fresh, get a little rebreather and maybe learn a thing or two. So this time I actually did the tutorial because last time I completely skipped over it. I learned a couple things, but all you've really got to know is that I learned how to fly and how to surgically alter Tony's bone structure. So I made Big Cool Tony, well, big. Apart from that, I didn't really do too much else, aside from a little sightseeing around the island. I found this map pretty interesting. It's basically a big old dead mall within the game, and not full of fake products or anything, but like actual real world stuff. And it's not solely dead because no one's here. Most of these products and brands are fully discontinued or liquidated. I'd say it's about a 50-50 split on brand websites that still work and ones that don't. Even then, some of the websites that do still work on it haven't been updated in like 10 years. Just as a pointer to how old this one is, Amazon is still advertising itself as a bookstore. Alright, let's be real. If you're advertising on Active Worlds, you're bound to go bankrupt. Now by far, the most interesting site on this map was one from 2005, advertising their VR headset for nearly $9,000. And that's 2005 money, so we're talking like 13K nowadays. Unless the site actually is up to date and they're just actively pumping out and selling 2005 VR headsets. It wasn't just headsets though. They had some cheaper offerings available, and I will be honest, everything on this site looks and sounds like they're right out of an 80s hacker movie or like Metal Gear Solid. TAC-I STR1 Monocular, VR Pro 1080p, Patriot, Spaceball 5000, Liberty Lattice. Holy shit, that one's $12,000. What's even weirder is that these guys have apparently done business with the US Army, multiple governments and universities, and I cannot find a single thing about them online aside from their website. Very, very strange. With that said, I will be purchasing an impulse stick to play Worms Crazy Golf optimally. Welcome to Brazil. This one's a little town square type map. Cars were flying by, but the streets were dead empty. I was the sole survivor. It was kind of unnerving, being the only actual person there despite all these fake signs of life all over the place. I know that's literally all of the maps in this game, but this one felt different for some reason. Everything in this one was Portuguese, obviously, but luckily some of it had translations. One of the first signs I saw was one which read, "Doorbell, call the owner of the world." I pressed it without a second thought, and the bell started ringing, blaring the sound across the whole map. Honestly, it was kind of spooky. It did not help when a woman appeared in front of me holding a sign reading, "He arrives at 8:30 p.m. which was super freaky. Minutes later, I spotted a name in the distance. I'm assuming this was just some rando though, as the green star means he's only been around the game for like a year. This guy also seemed to be AFK anyway. I don't know if he was here the whole time or if he joined at some point when I was looking around. Either way, probably not the owner. I continued exploring and kind of forgot about the whole arrival thing. It wasn't even close to 8:30, so I wanted to just have a look around and then leave. I climbed to the top of a small tower which had walls lined in Portuguese text, like they were literally made out of Portuguese text. And when I reached the top, I had to look around at the map from above. I can't show these, like they might say something awful. I can't show these. Has this guy been here the whole time? Was he here before? Hello? This is freaking me out. This is, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. I gotta go. So you'd think this one would be either a Led Zeppelin map or a real churchy map based on the title. And if you guessed the latter, you are correct! Congratulations, you've won 1 million funny money. Now despite the server name usually being the full theme of a map, literally all of that was condensed into one small area, way up at the top of the playable area. Well, let's see what's up the stairway. They had some real freaky open your third eye type videos up there, like literal open your third eye stuff, and it was really weird, but somehow also a lot more uninteresting than you would think. John was here. Not even worth showing, really. The real party was down below, where there were like 7 separate dance floors and parties going on all at once. Happy New Year 2023. This guy's jamming out. This one was actually really cool, and I'm very glad I found it. It's called CY Awards, which stands for Community Awards. Now, I had previously noticed these weird trophy statue things scattered around various maps, saying things like Lifetime Achievement Award, but I didn't know where they were from. Well, I found where they were from. This was some sort of award ceremony where various members of the community would all band together and then award people trophies based on categories like mapping, community involvement, and stuff like that. There's barely any traces of this online in like video format, so it seems most of these were a be there or be square type deal. Like, I actually think there's like 4, maybe 5 videos about the event. A couple are only slideshows, and the others are mostly the after party. I found one part of the map that seems like it had trailers for the event, and possibly some footage from it, but since a lot of the links on Active Worlds are dead, these sadly didn't function. So a lot of the history here is seemingly lost media, unless someone has a recording of these themselves. Now, from what I can tell, it seemingly ran from the late 90s up to around 2014, and then they stopped. I did some exploring, and based on this big field I found of previous award winners, they had plenty of events and gave out like a ton of awards over the years they were active. I even found their voting rules and voting commission office, and I gotta say, this in-game award show has more rules and regulations than like actual real-life ones. And they went all out while actually making the map too. It looks like every year they had a new in-game fireworks show as a sort of intro to the awards, as well as a working roller coaster, ballroom, lounge, and more. Overall, this is a really cool world and concept, but sadly it seems almost everything surrounding it is lost media. That's if any media actually even existed in the first place, so I guess hypothetical lost media. As I was looking around, somebody joined, and I thought I would get the opportunity to ask about the map, because who's joining this server unless they're there to like reminisce, but they were just there because they knew me and were stalking me, so I hopped off. Just to show off what kind of maps the CY Awards actually awarded, here's the Best of the Year 2010 winner. It's a map called the Mythopia. In my opinion, it looks pretty damn nice for being an Active Worlds map. I'm not going to say it's mind-blowing or anything, but for what they're working with, I think it looks pretty good. Legitimately, this map really does show off what's possible in this game when people aren't just making crack maps. I just wanted to show off and also, see for myself the craftsmanship possible in this game. I went for a little stroll around this one called Avocado, but didn't really find much until I came across some kind of stage for live performances. If you're interested, the next performance is in 2026. Mark that down on the old calendar. This is probably what you can expect. Okay. What is this? I'm just stuck. You're gonna need protection.
Accessing data.
At first, when I was looking around this one, I wasn't going to put it in the video because there wasn't much to it. And then I stumbled across the War Room. Yeah, you heard me right. You did not mishear a word of that sentence. This map has a full-on War Room. It had a global weather tracker, multiple live news feeds, links to news sites, current events, times, conflicts, the whole shebang. And it was all completely up to date when I recorded this. This is an actively updated crisis room, so if the world ever goes nuclear, hop on Active Worlds and you'll have all the info you could ever need right here. This one is like if they made a map for babies. Lots of builds on this one, all made out of basic shapes and simple colors. A real preschool level map. This one's like if you gave a bunch of kids just infinite mega blocks. Aside from the mega blocks architecture, there were some text boxes on this one that were somewhat more interesting. A lot of them were like X was here type messages and ones like that from the early 2000s, which, I mean, that's pretty cool to see they lasted this long. Instead of Tony, I was some greaseball blonde guy with a ponytail. This guy ain't no Tony, but he can sprint. I'll give him that at least. Now, I really only found one other thing of any note on this map, that being a big old tomb someone made. Now, I'm pretty much completely certain that this is just someone's very dramatic way of saying they quit the game or they just quit the server because they left behind some Yahoo contact info to get in touch with them. Now, I don't know what this person did to piss so many people off, but there's like 7 or 8 signs by the tomb that say some pretty awful things about this person, which I won't show here because like they are messed up. Since it's on topic, I guess this would be a good time to say that I do not encourage vandalizing stuff in any of these games that I play. Just leave them be. Within the server browser, there's a giant portion of maps called AV something something. And these have got to be some of the most interesting maps in the game, while also being some of the most boring maps in the game simultaneously. The AV stands for Avatar, and the numbers after it are the year that it was made. So AV99 is Avatar 1999. Each one of these is a little showcase of Avatar progress and creators of the year. This sounds like it would be a pretty cool little piece of internet history, and it totally would, if any of it still worked. Yeah, sadly a lot of pictures and stuff on these maps, which would be where a lot of the context, photos, and other stuff would be, they just don't work anymore. So they're just big maps with a bunch of empty picture frames and text boxes. Luckily there were a few that still kinda worked and showed off the models, so these aren't a complete loss. At least not yet. The 2001 map, which was themed around the movie by the way, I thought that was pretty cool, still has a bunch of avatars showcased in pictures. The 1998 map was another virtual expo type map, with booths set up to show off and sell stuff. Like usual, pretty much all links and images in it were just wiped from existence, but I did find one website up where a guy was selling his models. I guess as a reference for how much these sold for back in the 90s, this guy was selling a Stormtrooper model for 80 bucks. One last thing I want to show off was this wall of webcams. I don't know if these were sending a direct webcam feed into the game or if they were just static images or something else. I feel like having a bunch of webcams beamed into the game in real time in '98 would be pretty intensive, so I don't know how this worked. If anyone was around for the 1998 Avatar Expo in Active Worlds, please let me know. There is not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, but 7 bingo servers. There's not actually that much to these, like they're bingo maps. I don't know what you expected. I just thought it was funny that there's so many. These aren't made for a handful of people either. They each have like rows upon rows of bingo sheets set up to support like 20 to 30 people each. I guess there are actually a few things of note, one being that you can win citizenship in these bingo tournaments. I don't know how long ago this was or if that's still going or what, but I guess if you wanted to become a citizen for free, all you had to do was become a bingo king. Another thing I noticed is that these seem to have won some CY awards, so clearly they're liked by the community and also pretty old. Each of them were pretty much the same thing, with different themes on the map. 1 through 5 are real bare bones, pretty much just being bingo with a theme, but 6 and 7 were actually full maps for some reason. I don't know why. Bingo 6 was "The circus is coming to town" themed. They had clowns, elephants, and a big circus tent, but also a full town with enterable buildings for some reason. Keep in mind, this is a bingo map. Bingo 7 was island themed, with a whole island worth of stuff to find. The beach bar was empty, but the man with no name was chilling at the snack bar. The rest of it was a little barren. I take it they were just going to keep making more and more of these bingo maps, but for some reason stopped while making this one. The only other real thing of note is that there was a Lifetime Achievement CY award from 2006, so I wouldn't be surprised if these bingo places were at least that old. AWGZ is pretty cool. It's a map which is a preserved state of the main build map as it was in the year 2000. So everything on this is either from or before the turn of the millennium. Like American land is free, humble, brave. No fucking way. No fucking way. There's stuff on this one going all the way back to when the game was just made. The roads on it are from nearly 30 years ago, along with multiple builds in the area. Sadly, this isn't a complete archival, as it's only a chunk of the whole map as it was. With that said, there's still plenty of interesting things to find on this one. I found a 1996 museum, a nice little memorial to some people, and a ton more. If you're into late 90s to Y2K type internet stuff, I'd recommend downloading the game just to try this one out for yourself. There's way too many random builds on this one for me to cover it here. The build I found most interesting was this giant gold tinted tower with a bunch of monitors down on the ground floor. Each of these link to different websites, last updated in like 2001, and to my surprise most of them still worked. You know, for the most part. These also weren't like links to Amazon or anything. They were mostly websites specifically for Active World stuff, like avatar creations, world guides, and blogs. There was one blog which stopped being updated forever ago, which had some recipes. You've got one for an Italian pasta bake, short ribs, and the best ever chocolate cake. Also, quickly on the topic of websites, since we're here, I think the last video on this might have led to the in-game radio station website PK Tunes either shutting down or breaking, because very shortly after the video went up, the site just stopped functioning. And I really don't think that that was a coincidence, because the site was up and running for like 14 years prior to the video. So, if you're the person that owned the site, sorry about that. This one is a bit of a mess, but, you know, it was interesting at the same time. The beginning bit of this map was just a bunch of random shit, like fountains and some jeeps you can drive, but after walking for a bit, you reach this walled off area. No clipping inside, I found that it was some kind of graveyard. Most of the graves just have RIP or some numbers on them, so I assume that this isn't like a real graveyard, but that's thrown off by there being like 3 potentially real names. Really just a strange one I wanted to bring up for if anyone knows any more about it.
Accessing data.
Pollen is an absolute crack map that I flew around, and honestly I'm probably going to have to edit a lot of it out because the strobing effects were hurting my eyes. It honestly wouldn't even be in here if not for this giant wall of people writing down personal notes. There's all kinds on here, like Chaos 02 was here on December 30th, 2003. Vive Charlie Proxy on November 1997. Chromia was here on November 6th, 2014. Active Worlds is dead, and it will never go back to its glory days as this revolutionary 90s virtual world internet browser. But we will always celebrate it for what it has accomplished. No matter what, we're still here. Visiting family. Yeah, that sounds nice. No, yeah, I didn't do too much. Just I went out dancing one night. That's about it, really. Van Gogh, and I'm not saying that in the proper Dutch way. I'm not doing that. You'll have to fight me on a rooftop shirtless if you want to make me do that. This one was pretty sick, honestly. It's a 3D recreation of a Van Gogh painting. I really don't know what else to say besides, like, it's cool. Do I even need to say anything else? Like, look at this. Starting off the Triple X segment with a bang. X-Files spawned me on top of a spooky endless road surrounded by cornfields, attack helicopters, and G-men burning crops. I wish I could say there's more, but that's actually about it. It's just a reference to the movie. The Triple X segment continues with a long-awaited sequel, X-Files 2. This one was in a creepy ice cave maze thing. I don't know if this one was a reference. I looked up X-Files ice cave and didn't find anything, so someone let me know what this is. X-Men. This one is predictably a recreation of the X-Mansion, and yes, the shitty MIDI is included. It seems to be pretty faithful and intricate. You've got the outer area, furnished insides, sacred passages, the danger room, and the creepy basement all in one map. I spawned into this one in first person, and it took me a bit to actually check who I was. Am I Wolverine or something? The Triple X segment is now over. We will now look at a map about harps. So this map is basically the War Room map, but increased in scale and entirely about harps. Like the instrument, you know, harps. Genuinely all the harp info you could ever ask for or wonder or possibly think about is all right here I don't think there's a single harp-related question that goes unanswered. Everything harp is condensed right here in this map. This isn't even some weird map from the 90s either. This has legitimate, up-to-date information on harps, harp events, harp education, harp music, and all other harp stuff. The creator of this one is also a recipient of a Lifetime Achievement Award in 2006, so I can only assume this harp map has been going strong for literal decades. Now at first when I joined this one, I thought it was, like probably you do, I thought it was really strange to have a big-ass map dedicated to harps, but then I thought, if you replaced harps with something like guitars or violins, I don't think anybody would bat an eye. If the creator of this one ever watches this, keep on rocking out and harp on. Rome is another map, and one of very few where it's actually really well built and pretty cool for what they were working with. It's a recreation of a bunch of prime-time ancient Rome, which I assume is accurate, but I'm not an ancient Rome cartography and city infrastructure expert, so I couldn't tell you if it is. It's pretty expansive with a lot of custom textures and assets, probably the most I've seen in any map in this game. It's not just a map though, there's a full list of custom avatars to choose from too, like this funny Caesar and this horse guy. Inside the arena they even had animals and gladiators. Pretty sweet. Overall a very, very, very cool recreation of Rome. Very cool. If you ever download Active Worlds and end up playing it, make sure Rome was on your list. One player's name I saw consistently pop up throughout the game was someone going by the name DMC2U. They were like all over the place. They had won plenty of CY awards, made the bingo maps, and plenty of others, as I could tell by their CY award trophies they placed on all of them. And this guy even had his own server named after himself in the server browser. When I hopped on that one, barely anything worked, as expected, but luckily a few things still did. From these working bits, I could see that this guy was some kind of Active Worlds guide, a sort of volunteer helper, tour guide, and just someone who loved the game and wanted to help as many new players as they could. I also found his trophy cabinet of awards, and finally I came across one of the only working images I'd ever seen in this game, and could put a face to the name, as well as a dog. Now after the recording was wrapped for this game, I was doing some research into a few maps on here, and that one spot on the main build map had a memorial wall. And from there, I think you can guess where this is going. DMC2U was one of multiple Active Worlds citizens that I recognized on the wall, despite my relatively short playtime on the game. Each and every name on this wall sends you to a dedicated, personalized memorial, which I won't be showing much of as they have some very personal details on most of the players. I think this goes without saying again, but please just leave these be as they are. They're pretty beautiful tributes to fallen friends and relatives, and I'm highlighting them here as I've never seen anything like this in any other game. And for the fact that these people deserve to be recognized for the time they spent in the community, as well as for the work they put into the game and the things around it. Let's hope that people can continue to enjoy their work for years to come. Rest easy, fellas. I'm sorry to end this one out in a pretty sad way, but I think it's important to highlight these things even in silly videos like this. I did find it uplifting that many of these people, despite having been passed away for a decade or more, still have their maps and servers up and running, fully preserved. Despite the people behind them being gone, their legacies remain within the maps and the friends they left behind. Anyways, that's it for Active Worlds. Tony's retired and is settling down on a nice beach somewhere, hitting a mad breakdance. Let's continue. This one's called Heat. I got gifted this game like 4 years ago to play with a buddy, but it's like 110 gigs, so we just never did. I'll be honest, I didn't even look at the screenshots or anything. So this is one that's just completely blind. All I know is that there's cowboys, and that's it. Hopping right into things, I started up the multiplayer mode and had to pick a server. I was playing at a normal hour, and there were about 4 people in game, 3 of which were on a private server. So I joined the one with 1 player in it. Things started out on a train, where I had to make a Western gunslinger. There's a bunch of options in this game for the character creator, like they let you go wild and make the goofiest cowboy imaginable. There's gut size, arm length, height, dump truck size, damn, feet size, schnoz size, and a ton more that all combine to make a pretty great character creator. I personally was going for extreme historical accuracy and modeled my character after the famous cowboy legend, Dude Nasty, but it quickly devolved into Richard Nixon. I am not a crook. I named him Lone Star and sent him off into the wild. I spawned in with just a pair of long johns and a cartoon hobo stick to my name, as well as an American dream. I checked the map, and it's actually the entire United States. And upon seeing Washington, I had to reach it. That was my new goal. I had to gather some supplies first, and I was just chopping down entire trees in one swing with my stick. Deforestation, deforestation. I got a little sidetracked when I saw fire. I had been chopping down trees naked in the rain for a good while, and I was getting pretty cold at this point, so I headed on over. Hello? Holy shit, a bobcat. Fight the cougar. You dick. Oh, come on. Dying here was actually a bit of a blessing in disguise, as now I could just take the train right outside of Washington. So, my goal was like done. My sole goal now was to reach the White House. But first I had to make a quick pit stop to get some pretty sick accessories, and I was looking swell. I marched right up to the White House, bare feet, slapping against stone, right on through the front door, and sat my ass down at the resolute desk on the presidential throne. Now, for some reason this started an election, which I ended up having a landslide victory in. So, I renamed the country to Canada, and officially the Moon Boys had taken over the White House. Now that I had taken office, it was time to have a look around my new pad. I took the presidential throne lift down to the secret pool room in the basement, and went for a walk around the place. What the fuck? I grabbed my presidential provisions, gathered my Secret Service agents, and collected all those sweet, sweet tax dollars. As I was distributing the weaponry, the game hard crashed. Now luckily when I rejoined, everything was as I left it, so crashing wasn't going to be an issue here. Up on the top floor balcony, I learned the third person hotkey, and got my first good look at President Lone Star. Oh, look at the drip! Look at the... Holy moly! After I did this, I did some revolver tricks in the Oval Office with my presidential golden gun, learned that I could ride the basement bear, and then I headed out to do my inauguration speech.
I want to thank everybody for voting for me. We about to do some cool shit.
After that banger of a speech, I instantly raised all taxes across the board and went to do a little sightseeing. This is for me. Uh-oh. This isn't good. Uh-oh. Okay, hold on. Oh, that's not good. Okay, I can save this. I just can't take any more damage. I'm dead. After that quick encounter with death, I literally ran for my second term and easily won again. These common folk are fools to trust me this much. Instantly taxes were raised across the board again, and I renamed it to America 2. Some lowly farmer cretin in chat told me to be serious, as if I wasn't seriously running this place into the ground. If they don't like it, they will have to stop me by force. And let me be the first to tell you, the president is packing heat. Anyways, the game crashed again after this. After writing some threatening letters to world leaders, I took a look outside and realized that it had been raining for like a week in-game, and it was super gloomy and depressing. So I decided to hit the town to raise the spirits of my citizens. Back to the White House. I went back home and climbed up onto the roof, testing out the thickness of my legs by jumping off, and of course, I was perfectly fine. Now this reminded me that I hadn't given my second speech yet where I planned to flex my huge muscles, so I headed over to the Lone Star Monument to give it.
Why did you vote for me again? Are you stupid? I literally died on my first day and you thought that this time it would be different? You goofs! Hey! Who's that prick laughing at? I see you down there. Come up and say that shit to my face. Mr. President, get down!
Based on all these criminals and outlaws taking shots at me, it was fairly obvious that the judicial branch wasn't doing a damn thing. So I was going to take matters into my own hands. I had a new mission. Comb the lands and stop all crime myself. Easy. Quick pit stop though first, using tax dollars to buy like 17 bananas that I ate whole with the skin. I mounted the presidential bear for the first time, codename Bear Force 1, and I was off. Money. Yeah. After having a good thorough look at the map of America 2, I had a new secondary objective to check out whatever these cash house icons were. I mean, if there were houses full of cash, it's only right that the president gets a piece of that pie. You know, or the whole pie. Once I reached it, it seemed like these were player-made bases or potentially shops. This one had literal pallets of cash and gold, which was too big to carry, so I'll send some boys out to pick them up later. While in the area though, I saw the campfire where I died at originally, so it was time for some good old-fashioned American vengeance. I got into some bear-on-bear combat, and my Secret Service agent just watched me in awe, not doing a single thing to actually help. I took out the man who attacked me earlier. The president does not forget. Scum! From this point I had a few options. I could head south towards Florida. There's guaranteed to be plenty of crime there. Or I could head out west to Tombstone. I decided the best course of action would be to take a round trip, heading out west to Tombstone, down south to Florida, and then back home. And I prepared Bear Force 1 for takeoff. This was going to be one hell of a journey. I approached a lady by a bonfire. She seemed to be unarmed, so I wanted to greet her. Now that was until she pulled out a shotgun and popped it straight into the ground. Now lady, if you aim for the king, you best not miss. I had to stop for a minute as my trusted companion Bear Force 1 was extremely hungry. I would never let this big fella run on empty, so I fed him some bananas. This noble act of kindness paid off, as the weather was completely clear and sunny after this for the future duration of my odyssey. And I gotta say, this game looks pretty damn good when it's not a gloomy rainfest the entire time. In our journey to Tombstone, we sadly lost our Secret Service agents. Not because they died or anything, they just literally got lost and couldn't keep up with the bear. If you see them out in the woods, please be sure to write me a letter with info regarding their locations. Finally, I had arrived at Tombstone, and as a bonus, I owned the city. Federal land, pal. Didn't even think about that before I arrived. I went into the National Bank because, of course, as the king of Tombstone, I owned the joint. But it crashed the game. Again, this game sucks. When I reconnected, I spawned under the floorboards, and I thought this was going to be the end of Lone Star. But I clawed my way out, because I'm just that much of a gamer. I was going to take the train to Florida, but the president's flat broke from buying too many beans and bananas. I scraped together a couple bucks and spent it on scratch tickets, which I lost somehow. I went into the church to ask for a couple bucks, but they told me to piss off. Dude. Being flat broke and without backup, I was thinking of calling it quits and heading home. But I continued. I continued towards the most dangerous area of them all. Florida. I found an encampment of swamp folk and took them all out. Who knows what kinds of nefarious acts they were committing. There were a lot of them too. At least 7 or 8 that I soloed, easily. Looting their bodies, we've got a new pit stop to make on the way home, as one of them had a treasure map on them, which will look real nice in my presidential suite. Along my travels, I reached a swamp plantation, which was completely empty inside. But I was given the opportunity to become its governor. As much as I would like to, I don't think I can hold more than one spot in office. Didn't matter though, since I had treasure to find. I was pretty taken aback by the beautiful sights I saw around me. Fresh green leaves on trees. waterfalls with flowing blue water, structurally sound American architecture, forest critters enjoying life in the wilderness. The only thing that could make this trip any better is if I raised the taxes again. So I maxed them out. I came across a town that was entirely player-made. It was actually pretty sick. They had a bar, hotels, stores, and a good number of homes, and probably some more. It didn't really do much with no one on, which kind of sucks. This would actually be a pretty sick place to be. I was going to say when, but it's more like if there's ever 30 to 40 people on. Luckily, the town was close by to the treasure, so this wasn't a major detour. I finally got to the marked spot, which was on someone's property, and I got off Bear Force 1 to dig up that treasure, which is what I would say if I had a shovel, which I probably should have thought to buy at some point along the way. So, free treasure right here, if anyone wants it. Whoever snags it up wins 1,000 funny money. I finally crossed the bridge heading back into Washington. At long last, I was home, and ready to collect my taxes. Oh, hot damn, would you look at that? Like $200 in taxes. That's like $1 million today. I am loaded. And this concludes a truly legendary cross-country adventure. We lost some damn good men along the way. Made plenty of friends, enemies, but most important of all, we made plenty of money. All that's left to do is kick my feet up and count my cash. Crash the game. Crash the game. My first order of business in any game is to create a new iconic character for the masses to enjoy. In Blockland, this is no different. You're gazing upon the man. I started off on a little test map. I had to collect chests, and I was just kind of going through it to see if the recording worked. Things were a little quiet, so I turned the volume up by 0.2, and it was loud when I opened a chest. Oh. The first thing you'll instantly notice with this one is that it's more of a Lego game than Minecraft or Roblox ever will be. I don't know if the discussions are still active because both of those have evolved way beyond what they started as, but back like 10 plus years ago, people called both of those games playable Lego games, like Lego Ripoff, all that stuff. This game is actually a playable Lego game without the branding. It's about as close as you can legally get. I started off Blockland by joining the only server with any amount of players in it, and it had nearly 8,000 files to download, which took like 6 full minutes to join. Some truly Gmod tier load times. Not a great start, and it had me pretty worried for bigger servers. At this current rate, looking at 10 servers would have an hour of just load times. Now, when I logged into this one, there were 7 total players. That's Blockland as a whole. And more than half of them were on this server. When I finally loaded, they had some iconic SpongeBob music playing, which sadly I can't let you hear. So just pretend it's playing. Despite the comedy music, this server had a hellish atmosphere and was a real crack map with all kinds of crazy sound effects and voice lines. I didn't think I would spend too long on this one, but one of the players in it was surprised anyone else was even playing the game. He said it had been a while since Blockland had more than one player, so I guess I got on at a good time. I told him I was just having a look around, and we kind of wandered around together, taking in all the insanity the map had to offer. Shoutouts to this guy. After we had our fun, he went to see if he could find any more Blockland survivors, and he left the server. I was all by my lonesome from here. The server had a surprising amount of interactable stuff in it, from NPCs to objects and more, which all had custom text, sounds, and even animations. There was a guy in a house I sent flying, a guy on a pirate ship I blew up, a market in the middle of the map with shopkeepers that all had unique lines, such as this one that just says, "I'm French," and an underground secret library where every single book, all of them, had a custom name and author. Pretty cool map. I don't even think I saw like 10% of it. Sadly, the load time thing was not a one-off. This game really just has mucked load times. Doesn't matter in this case though, because this one was absolutely worth it. I loaded into this and was instantly in the heat of a race on the starting line. Instant kart gaming the second I joined. There was another guy here as well, who had been alone for an unknown amount of time, by the name of Blockland 1892. Absolute goddamn legend this guy is. I tried to get him to talk, but he was a silent but deadly type character. He would not respond to a single thing I said. So I said, fine, I'll speak the only language you seem to know. Racing. Oh shit. Get out of here. No! No!
The last survivor stand.
I raced this dude countless times. We were neck and neck in nearly every match. Our scores were about equal, and we had developed a heated rivalry, one for the ages. It was truly something out of a movie. We rammed into each other on multiple occasions. One time I was an asshole and parked my car right in front of him at the start, which backfired on me as he just rammed past me, and I had to do the whole race backwards to keep up. It was about a 50-50 split on who was in the lead for wins. It seemed like nobody was going to be the definitive victor for some time, so I yielded to him and left the match, giving him the victory. He was there before I got on, and remained after I left. The solo champion of Blockland Speed Car, and a true master of the track. Will we ever know his name, his intentions, his origins, his family crest? I think not. Sayonara, Blockland, 1892. Back to another crack server, plain and simple. This one had some people. They didn't respond to me, but I did get nuked by one. What? The other was just AFK. There were also some NPCs that just kind of walked around, but that was pretty much it. Another one that took like 5 minutes to load. This one was some kind of minigame map. There were people on this one, and they were active, but I couldn't find them in the lobby. All I could find was the gift slop, so I headed outside into the wasteland to track them down. I barged in on an ongoing chess match that had apparently been running for an hour and a half. This was very late into the night, mind you, so these guys were committed.
To finish this game peacefully is my last wish.
Guess that won't happen. We've been interrupted again.
Haven't seen you around for a long time.
They weren't doing any insane moves, so I had to look around the place. I stopped for some pizza at Pizza Hut, and then I went to the theater.
Gary Revel is a professional worm grunter.
I hopped in a Jeep to go see the conclusion of this epic match, and sent it off into space. These two simply would not end the game, so I called it quits. I was done. It was late. I watched them for a solid like 20 to 30 minutes at the end here, and I'm sure you chess masters can already tell me who won at this point anyways. This one was actually pretty cool. It was a little dungeon crawler map with upgrades and magic and stuff. It was probably the only server in the game that was both working and a real game mode aside from Speed Kart. There's not much to say really, like it's a pretty basic roguelike dungeon crawler in Blockland with like spiders, skeletons, and other normal fantasy stuff. It's kind of cool though, and goes to show that not every map in this game is a crack map. I tried to join a server before this one, and it had 11,000 files to download, and it was going at around 2 files per second. So that was absolutely a no-go. This one was a tiny bit better, but I still had time to make a bowl of soup, eat it, make a cup of tea, drink it, and then time to spare after that to write the notes saying that the last one took forever to download. Even then, I had about a quarter of the download time to spare, so still not great. All in all, this one took like 20 minutes to download, and after all that waiting, it was just a soccer field, and that's actually it. What you see here is the entire map. Blockland 1892 was still here. It had been nearly 2 hours at this point since I played the speed kart map. He was solo racing that entire time. What an absolute legend. No, scratch that. What an absolute gamer. Now, I'd love to show more, but I turned off password protected servers, and there's like a dozen, so that's it. Unless I can find the password to Feet Cinema 2, we're done here. Animyst is a viewer-recommended game that I went into completely blind. I don't even think I looked at the screenshots for it, I just downloaded it. It's from 2018 and describes itself as a persistent, single-shard, open-world, first-person, primitive magic PvP and PvE sandbox. So, you know, we're in for a good one. Hopping into this one, there were only like 4 rules total, one being no repeated harassment. So, I guess just once or twice is fine. Now, my eyes immediately gazed towards the rule bit when I logged in, and it took a few seconds to comprehend that this was the menu. You lived a life that ended tens of thousands of years ago. You rise once again, with a mind free of any memories or responsibilities of the past. Do you wake filled by the love you felt for your family and friends? Or are you guided by rage and vengeance for those who did you wrong in your mortal life? Of all the places you could have ended up, why here?
Young one, welcome back from your eternal sleep. I gave you life with my magic, and now I lie here weak and dying. I feel I will perish soon. Please find me in the town. Sympathy, the birthplace of us all.
After getting the rundown of the game from that loading screen, I had 2 options to choose from. I could be a
Cursed one.
or, alternatively, I could be a friend. The choice was obvious. Now, after picking friend as my guy, I spawned inside some kind of bone pit. There were meat giblets spread about, some meat chickens, bones galore, and some NPCs I could talk to. Now, I say talk, but really it was more like listen. The NPCs all talked with these text boxes over their heads, and they all used a whisper text-to-speech voice. A very, very strange choice.
Please, I do not wish your company. Why has my beautiful slumber ended? Why this nightmarish purgatory?
At the very least, this is a pretty unique choice. I don't think any other MMO has the balls to make every single character have the exact same TTS voice. After chatting around the bone pit, I learned some basic tutorial stuff, and was told to go to the town of Sympathy. So, I had a goal at least. The only thing of true importance I learned from all these tutorial guys was that I've got a smack and a bone throw ability. If there were other weapons in this game, I did not care. I was purely going to use the comedy smack the whole game. There's also a crafting system. You've got this Witcher sense type vision to mark literally every single collectible thing on the entire map. And all those collectibles are just the weirdest things. There's monoliths, bones, meat, ancient blood, on fire torches, full trees, and a bunch of other weird shit that you can use to craft stuff like armor and meat spells. The majority of the gameplay is just running around like a dickhead picking up materials. I myself handcrafted some drip after looting the reed fields. Now, I was just wandering around and I was kind of taking it all in after a pretty fast-paced beginning. I looked to the clouds, which were moving very fast, and I don't know, something about the weird graphics, music, and atmosphere all coming together, it just put me at a standstill. I was kind of taken aback by the strange beauty of this game, purely at this moment. Obviously, it's kind of ugly, and the music isn't that pleasing to listen to, but I don't know, something about it was just drawing me in. Then I snapped out of it once more bone meat creatures appeared. I found the map button and was actually pretty close to Sympathy already. Along the way I found out that you can build like rust bases, so that's kind of cool, I guess. Overall the map seems pretty decently sized. Now that's not to say that it's filled with interesting things to find, just that it's big. Once I got into town, I talked to more NPCs. They were all just talking nonsense, so I ignored them. I found the matriarch who the game told me to find. She was dying and gave me her last wish. She wanted me to find the lore. Name another game where the main quest is to literally find the lore. Now, from this point on, the more I played, the more that initial awe from the beginning kind of faded, and the game actually kind of just sucks. I did snipe a floating chicken, though, with a wicked bone throw. Check this out.
Got him.
After getting into the open world proper, I found the first batch of enemies so far. It was a bunch of weird rock creatures that kind of just made slight movement sounds, didn't actually move, and they all died in 3 smacks. What? Are these creatures? Once I dealt with them, I climbed one of the many long-forgotten bases in this game. The whole open world was just littered with them as far as I could tell, and getting on top of this one gave a pretty decent view of that. The ones right out of the starting area were all pretty much garbage, but after I saw a massive, like actually gargantuan tower in the distance, genuinely, how am I not going to go directly towards that when I see it? Now, the tower, sadly, it had no visible way to actually get inside, so what you see here is what you get. Still pretty cool someone did this. I assume it took like a lot of time to build.
Well,
I got into my first real fight with these rock creatures from before. They spawned pretty much up my ass and actually moved this time. Combat. I have to say, this genuinely might be the worst combat I've ever seen in any game that I've ever played. I hit up the dome after this, and there were some flying demon guys. I tried to bone one to death, but they just absorbed my attacks. Then I got attacked by some little rat man and died. That was it. That's game over. I was gonna hop off after this, but a couple people logged on around this time, like my boy Salad228922. I tried to talk with them, but I didn't get a response for like a good while. I had a brief chat with the other fellow online, asking him how he found the game. I expected him to be a veteran lone Animyst regular, but it was just a guy who found the game through a video on it, so I plugged the channel and hopped off. Team Fortress Classic. This one's a true classic. I crack myself up. Obviously, this is the predecessor to Team Fortress 2, and it is a weird game. If you've played TF2 before this, everything is very familiar, but at the same time, very different in a lot of big and small ways. There's a lot of differences to list, but for this video they're kind of irrelevant, as we're not really going to be playing the regular game, but rather a bunch of weird community servers that are still up and running. Obviously the first thing I did on this was go through the server browser looking for the first one to play, and I mean, of course my eyes are drawn towards the one called Moon Cheese. While downloading the map, I saw that this one apparently even has its own anthem, so I was getting real hyped for this one, and then it crashed before it even opened, so we're off to a great start. So the first actual map we're looking at is a true classic. Everybody knows them, everybody loves them, we've even looked at one before. We've got a Mario Kart map. This one is a lot smaller and blander than what you're probably used to with the TF2 ones though. I mean, it's legit just a little oval with some houses in the middle. I'd wager this one is pretty old, probably from around maybe 2003 or 4, as there's Double Dash posters on the walls. Also, it said there was a real guy in here, but this is totally just a bot. Which kind of sucks, because I was hoping to talk with the lone Team Fortress Classic Mario Kartist, but I guess that's not going to happen. Next map. I joined into a crack Smurf map, and this Smurf map was one of like 3 that had any players on it in the whole game. I spawned into this one and I had no idea what was happening. There was a Coca-Cola guy, Smurfs running amok, and without a doubt, worst of all, everyone in here was French. Ugh.
Je pense que la map, je pense que le créateur a pensé à ça.
You guys ever seen the Smurfs? They were already partway through the map, and I don't even know how to properly describe the first part that I played, so here's a bit of the footage as is. Shoot him! Shoot him! Kill him! Kill him, boys! Shoot him! He's taking us all out! Shoot him, boys! Shoot him! Nuke him, boys! Nuke him! Get him! Nice going, boys. Nice going.
GG.
Excellent work. Once we got past the first bit with the boss fight, it got ridiculously hard. There was a timed B-hop section, which wasn't super bad, just janky. And then after that, a split path. The split was where it got truly awful. Like, genuinely, I think I saw maybe 15 attempts where anyone even reached them. And both had to be completed to continue. Like, just look at this. It might not look like that hard from the footage, but, like, trust me, it was. Nobody could beat these. I spent way too long on this one before leaving, because for some reason I had faith in the French fellas. I really thought that they had it in them. They didn't. We were stuck on this one bit for legit like 45 minutes before I left. I did enjoy my time on the map though, so I checked back in on it like 25 minutes later. They were still on the same checkpoint. I don't even have to explain what this one is. The name is literally Bots vs. Humans. I think you get the premise. This map was just chaos. Absolute insanity. I don't think anything other than some live footage would do it justice. I guess people back in the day were big fans of role-playing on Team Fortress, because we've got a city RP map here. It's not the biggest or the bestest, but it's got the basics. There's a corner store with all kinds of products, from Coca-Cola to the Captain of Crunch himself. There were a few other buildings, like a police station as well, but I don't know how to enter them properly, so I just wandered the streets until I fell into the sewers and got trapped. I was gonna make fun of a roleplay map on Team Fortress, but really I'm glad maps like this are still up, even if no one plays them anymore. It would kind of suck if these server browsers were just full of regular, boring old maps. And I'm sure there's someone out there who played on this server, or, you know, ones like it, who would just be ecstatic to find out that it's still around. The City RP map had a map vote, and suddenly we were onto a map called House B4. It's a pretty sweet house, you know, nice furniture, cool TV. It's only missing walls, a floor, a roof, doors, stairs. I kept starting the map vote in this server to see the other maps, and there were a bunch with Ent map in the name. This is either a thing, and it's really obvious what it is, and I just don't know, or it's not a thing, and they all have it in common for no reason. Either way, they were really weird because all of them were just big empty maps, even though they would be named things like Entmap Castle. Entmap Castle was like a bunch of ramps and a moat, but there was no castle or anything. I don't understand. The only one I found with anything on it was one with a couple props in a snow area, like this comedy snowman, but that was it. And I checked like 3 or 4 of these. I don't know if these were supposed to be empty, or if something was busted with the maps and things just aren't loading in. If there's any Entmap creators out there watching this, let me know. I hopped onto a climb map, climbed, fell, got sad and pissed off, voted for a new map called Short Bus 3, and I drove the iconic bus around town. It was a fun time.
Checkpoint 1 secure.
I seem to have a sort of bad habit of getting baited into maps with funny names, but like, how am I not gonna play the one called Two Meatballs? It was just a regular TFC map. I am furious. The server for this one was called the Fun House, but the map was anything but. This was a real scary map that was like some kind of capture the flag or something. I don't know. I was way too drawn in by the creepy art on the map to actually play the objective. Now, despite this being like a spooky, ominous forest black and white map, the flag on it was just a regular soccer ball in the middle. Everybody's familiar with rocket jumping and sticky jumping, but how many people know about concussion jumping? Now, if you didn't know, TFC has grenades for each class, and one of them is a concussion grenade, which you can use to chain explode yourself to get some crazy air. I never played TFC, so I had no idea about this. I thought the map was a rocket jump map until I looked it up, and damn, this shit is cool. I miss when stuff like this was still in games. The closest we have nowadays is stuff like frag boosting and Titanfall, but that doesn't even hold a candle to conch jumping. Penguin Park is a truly insane Christmas server running 24/7, 365. It's full of bots and has the full 4-team setup, resulting in absolute chaos.
Christmas! Santa! Santa!
Merry Christmas.
I found a couple rats maps, which is pretty sweet because these are just the best. The first one I played was a locker room map, which, I mean, it was cool, but they put turrets on the ceiling for some reason, which kind of ruins the whole map because they just decimate anything they see. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. The second one I found was a lot better though. It was a little bedroom dorm kind of thing with a bunch of fun stuff on the map, like this pencil machine gun on the table. That's actually probably my favorite thing I've seen in any rats map ever. There were also big rat traps, which I got crushed by instantly. This one was definitely the better of the two by far. Oh, what's that? You didn't think we were going to do another Christmas map? Well, we are. Luckily, this one isn't just an arena. I actually don't know what this map is supposed to be. There was a Santa team and a civilian team, and I initially went with Santa. I think the server needed people though, because the Santa team was just nothing, or I didn't know how to make it work, so I left that to the OG big man. Swapping over to civilians, I spawned in a little suburb type thing. The gimmick with this map is that all these houses were unique and explorable, and also given names based on what I assume to be admins of the server or just friends of the map maker. Some houses were pretty normal, nothing much to see, your average suburban household, and some were transparent alien hellscapes. Footsrock, hands off. This one called Venom's house was a pretty average run-of-the-mill house, but it had an ominous, strange red glow coming from the basement. Heading down there, it was like a big bunker thing, but sadly didn't have anything more than what you see here. Now the big draw on this map was a huge, walled-off mansion at the end of the road. I saved it for last, and after thoroughly exploring the rest of the map, it was time to head on in. From the outside, the place looked pretty cool. I was excited to see what was on the inside, as so far the other houses were all pretty interesting. Oh, brother. Alright, okay. This place was littered from top to bottom in naughty furry images I cannot show. Merry Christmas, everyone. Okay, stop looking at it. Stop. I can't look at that. Today I want to end things off by looking at what's probably Team Fortress's most iconic map by far, Banana Land. This is a pretty sick level where you hop around collecting bananas to progress. The map is covered in a texture that's just like green puke all over your whole screen. When you manage to collect those bananas, a door will open to your next collection room, where you've got to grab some more. There's an upside down room, a spinny room, and a Mario Sunshine pachinko room, and some of these are much harder than others. Once you beat the pachinko room, you're sent into the spinny room, and that's it. That's the end of Banana Land. This one is called Club Cooee. It's a virtual hangout game where you can make your own avatar, make your own rooms, and generally just sit around and chat with others. It's actually a lot older than you would think, being from 2007, so it's got that going for it, I guess. Let's get into it. Club Cooee is a no-nonsense game. So the character name this time is not funny, it is not unique, and it is not crazy. The name that was chosen is Granulated Sugar. I had to start this one out with a solid character design. My guy was yoked by default, so I just kept him that way. And next up was buying some clothes. Money in this game is Cooee points, which makes the worst possible abbreviation they could pick. I decided I would make a marketable clown type character that the fans would just go nuts over. I went all out on it, hoping that it would get very popular with lots of fan art, big time merch sales, possibly a few TV deals. But while looking through the catalog, I had an epiphany. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Things just got serious. During the character remake, I had a better look through all the items, and I assume that most of these are community made because, just look at this. Despite the store being absolutely full of random crap, I couldn't just find a white suit with a black shirt. So, this is it. This is what you get. After like 40 minutes of dicking around in the character creator, I was finally good to go. Now, I noticed that despite the game saying it had like 15,000 people on, there seemingly weren't that many active rooms. For North America, it was maybe like 6 servers with any number of people in them. And worldwide, the total number of players added up to like maybe 500 or 600. Now, I don't know jack diddly about this game, so that might be normal. I'd assume it's counting people who have the browser running in the background but aren't actually playing, which probably adds a fair number of players. Let me know if this game is a big hit in like Brazil or something. I tried one of the few servers in North America with anyone playing. Numbers were very few in this one, so I was a little bit worried that it was all just going to be AFK players, but they were active and just kind of having a casual conversation. I made small talk complimenting this nice lady's boomstick, and she had no idea what I meant, and I left. Next up, I joined one called Sad Room. It was pretty full of sad gamers, but only one was actually active. I asked how they were doing, and they responded that they were A-OK, so I called them a fraud sad gamer and left. I was pretty quickly running out of active English-speaking servers, and I joined this one in the middle of a massive, heated argument. Probably gonna have to blur the chat in this one. It's a little bit filled with slurs and insults.
The feud came to a climax when one of the players said that by eating makeup, they would probably be prettier on the inside.
I was fed up with their arguing, and I just decided I would be a kid who just installed the game to distract them and possibly get them to quit.
I just turned 13. I am playing the game. I want to club, dance. How to dance? I play game.
This strategy did not work, and I left. I joined this one, which was a bunch of people chilling out on a tiny, tiny island. I asked how we were gonna get off this damn rock, and that it would be where we died. I got pretty mild reactions from the crowd, and then I snagged some pretty slick pictures. We've entered the danger zone, as I found out where the emote shop is, including the dances.
Juju on that beat. Let me quickly juju on that beat. Can I get a quick juju on that beat, please?
Okay. Despite having nearly every dance on the goddamn planet, they did not, I repeat, did not have the gritty. I'm sorry. I was given a prompt in the menu to try out a chat request thing. It was like a little one-on-one matchup program thing where you enter an age range and get matched with someone to talk to. I tried it out with literally all criteria checked, you know, a 12 to 99 years age range, all genders, and found absolutely nobody to talk to. Damn. Also, as a side note, being able to search for one-on-one chats with teenagers and kids as young as 12, I don't know if this is just me, but that seems like a very dangerous program, I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to go on the Harley Davidson Friends Only Club, seeing as I myself am a biker in his late 50s. I hopped onto the owner's profile to add him as a friend, but his description of French read, "If you look at me, you will be blocked." I was blocked. Now sadly, it seems like we're gonna have to go without the Harley Club for today. The top dogs in this game have more hours in it than professional esports players have in their respective games, and that's not an exaggeration. Now obviously if we're talking, realistically here, they must have just left it running for long periods of time, but they have such a ridiculous amount of XP and achievements that like a good chunk of that playtime has to be real. Absolutely nutso dedication to Club Cooee. Next up on the list was an 18+ naughty Zex room. It was a lot tamer than I thought, so I can actually just show it fully uncensored. This one was like a rock club or something. I don't know. Here's Nishiki rocking out. I kind of chillaxed by the pool, fully clothed for a bit. Then I hit up the water slide. This game sucks. I think I'm done with this one. Be sure to check out Club Cooee if I don't know.
You've heard of all those classic Half-Life mods, right? Counter-Strike,
Day of Defeat. Hell, even Team Fortress Classic. Well, what about Master Sword Continued? This one's a very forgotten Half-Life mod that turns it into a medieval fantasy RPG. No relation to Zelda. Originally it came out in 1998 as just Master Sword, and then it relaunched in 2005 as Master Sword Continued. No reason to explain everything here though, so let's just start with some gameplay. I started this one out with a little test run on a single player map called WW1, and it was an absolute nightmare. There were a bunch of boars just nuking me over and over and over and over again. Bodies were just piling up, mostly my own, and I just died over and over and over as the combat music, which is copyrighted so I can't play it, just blasted in the background. There was also a little version of me on the bottom of the screen. The UI was bugging out, and everything was just off about this game. It was perfect. Before I installed this one, I found a list of servers on the mod's website. It was about 20 to 30 servers on all different maps and game modes, and literally all of them are dead and don't work. I was stuck with just the server browser, so this game actually only has one server that works. The first time I tried joining it, it crashed while I was loading, so I was getting real worried that this one might not work at all, but somehow I managed to squirm my way into the server. I started strong, literally, as my new original character, Max Mass. And of course, I had to choose the hammer as my weapon of choice. Nobody beats the hammer. Now instantly upon spawning, something was wrong. Now this is a weird one. This is something I've never seen before. I could not turn past a certain angle. This wasn't as big a deal as you'd think, but it was still pretty annoying. I spent a bit of time looking around the spawn for instructions on how to do stuff, and apparently you can talk to NPCs. And not in like the dialogue box Fallout kind of way, but legit like through a text box typing out stuff that you want to say. You can only really say certain keywords for them to respond to, but I still thought this was a pretty cool system. Also, this beard guy looks wicked funny. I thought my graphics card and monitor were like breaking, because the game kept applying a full screen blue tint, and then I realized that that was just their rain effect. You know a game's going to be good when it gets you to think that it broke your whole computer. Before leaving the Wizard Guild's spawn area, I found a board with some console commands on it. I had to full 360-degree turn to get a good look at it because of the camera bug. Leaving the guild, my quest had truly begun. I came across a small homestead which I foolishly thought was my own, thus I barged on through the front door. The owner within didn't seem to care, and even granted me a quest to get the hell out of his house and clear out his backyard of evil creatures. Thinking to myself that this was a prime opportunity to get some free XP, I took him up on his offer and went to murder these backyard beasts. After a hard-fought battle leaving me scarred but stronger, I made a daring escape from the man's backyard as the beast had respawned. I came across my first city and headed to the pub in search of quest givers. The owner of the bar promptly told me to piss off. However, before leaving, I took a quest to deliver a letter to the man in the house from earlier. Easy money. Upon exit, I stumbled across two men in dire need of my assistance.
Nice day outside, isn't it? Nice day outside, isn't it? Nice day outside. Nice day outside. Nice day outside. Nice day outside, isn't it? 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 Nice day outside, isn't it?
Proceeding to the next area, my game crashed and it almost broke the server. Luckily, all it took was a quick reconnect and we were good. More than good, actually. I mean, this area has some admirable jock jams. I came across a cave filled with giant rats, perhaps ones that make all the rules. Their deaths meant that I now became the giant rat. Cool surprise. I, Max Mass, now entered a state of grinding to maximize my mass. I slaughtered many a boar until only the Terminarch remained. I noticed in the distance a fallen soldier with blood splattered about all around him. I came to his aid, but he was actually just chilling on the floor. Perfectly fine. I went into a creepy cave and bashed a spider web with my hammer. And I will admit, I got actually jump scared. My master's sword continued. Oh shit. What the fuck? I got out of there as fast as I could. No other adventurer had bee-hops like me. After all, I did have a letter to deliver. I bee-hopped back to the man's home and bestowed on him the letter, fulfilling yet another quest for Max Mass. One problem with this though, this crashed the server. Like, hard crashed the server. Like, it was gone. Whoops. I gave it a minute and tried opening up the server browser again. Oh man. Unironically, not a bit, not a joke, I think I actually broke the sole working online server for this one. Sorry guys. I checked back like 30 minutes later, and it was still gone. So, that's it for this one. Like, forever. And that's it. We've made it to the end of this one. Thanks for sticking through it. I don't really have much more to say. So, yeah. I've got another video in the works that's sort of tangentially related to this series, but like kinda, not really. I don't know. It's probably going to be the next video, and it's probably going to be a lot shorter, so it shouldn't take as stupidly long. That's really it, though. So, thanks for checking out the video. Bye.